She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die...
So.
Okay.
All right. Hereditary.
Fire away.
We watched it. Tyson has not, so we're going to kind of pitch this movie to him. Tyson, what do you know about Hereditary, Tyson?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
besides
nothing.
what we've talked about here today.
Okay, Josh, how
That
would
it's very
you...
derivative of a lot of movies, although it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, is what you seem to be implying.
Yes.
Well, it's the sequel to Muriel's Wedding, and Muriel has a family, and she's. I wonder
what's Muriel's Wedding? I don't know.
That's see, I haven't seen that one either though. It's like we were talking about it, and
It's Toni Collette's
first movie.
Yeah, Hereditary is not a sequel to Muriel's Wedding, but I did want a copy of, like, after seeing Hereditary, I wanted to just like hug a copy of Muriel's Wedding and just kind of remember, just calm down.
Remember?
Because
you needed like something to wash your palate sort of feeling.
I didn't enjoy the movie. Like, it leaves you, if you're going to see Hereditary, if you haven't seen it, you're not going to feel good when Hereditary's over.
No.
And the thing about it is, like, horror movies aren't necessarily supposed to make you feel good. Mm-hmm. Kind of in the way, like, a roller coaster is supposed to scare you a little bit, but, like, you're not, like, sorry you were on the roller coaster.
Right, you're not, like, crying, like, where you feel bad afterwards.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad after Hereditary was over.
Yeah,
Did you feel bad?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not as bad as I did.
Not as bad as you did.
So it's a bummer of a movie.
The thing
Intentionally.
it depends on how sensitive you are to certain things.
It was.
Do you think the filmmaker's intention, though, was to bring you down?
Yes.
Yeah, it's totally supposed to make you upset.
And the thing is that's what's so frustrating about this is because even though there's all this like technical stuff that I really like about this movie, it's like I felt like the people who made this really don't understand what horror is. They don't because they just made a movie where I feel like their main intention was to make you feel bad, and that's bathos. That's not horror. I mean, it's not based in fear. Just bumming you the fuck out with really sad shit, And I mean, it was in service of the story, yes, but really it was just we don't know how to scare you. We don't have a main fear we're tapping into. There's no core fear theme that we have at the center of this movie.
Did you feel like the filmmaker was exercising his ability to just make the audience feel something without controlling what he's making you feel?
No, because it was... Are we spoiling this movie?
Well, we can. Spoilers on.
Well, but the thing
Spoilers
is,
on.
the way that it upsets you are very easy gets. Children in trauma dealing with children. It's and not just any kind of children, like children that are kind of, outliners, that are on the spectrum maybe.
Yeah.
But stuff that I related to as a kid because we were outsiders as kids. Yeah. I related to that little girl because that's what I was like. I was a mess at that age.
Yeah, Charlie.
I was not the kind of kid that would go to a party and be fine.
Right.
So it's when her brother was ditching her like that at the party, I felt I wanted to go and get her out of there.
She was like a space brain. There's this weird little girl in the marketing. She looks weird. And in the film, she is weird. She's, like I said, maybe on the spectrum a little bit. It's never really defined what her issues are, but she's just not on the same, frequency as everybody else, and she has a hard time fitting in.
She's drawing a lot.
She's drawing. Yeah, she's drawing.
She has her own things she likes to do.
She clucks. She clucks sometimes. Just does it randomly.
For her own fun?
Well, no, I mean, it's not for fun. It's just a tick.
It's just it's a tick.
She's
just,
there's something wrong with her.
Yeah.
She's not wrong, but I mean, she's just not tuned.
Gotcha. Yeah.
She's tuned to a different frequency. Nobody knows exactly what that is. The movie starts off with there's a death, and there's talking about grief and grief of your parents dying. There's the Toni Collette Alex, her mother dies. And so it's okay, Hereditary. You think, all right, so we're going to do a horror movie that's dealing with hereditary issues. And so you think in my mind, what I would have liked to see as the theme would be, the sins of the father, how the things we pay for the violence of our ancestors, how we repeat the patterns of our parents, how we turn into our parents, the horror of turning into your parents, these are really real fears that I was hoping that this movie was going to tap into. But it never really got into anything like that.
Well, it didn't. I think the like the theme of like Hereditary or whatever, it's about generational curses and like generational sins and things like that. And like The Exorcist like has Pazuzu. That's the demon that's in The Exorcist that sort of, The Exorcist has kind of had different versions, but Pazuzu is he kind of runs through the different storylines and things like that.
And Pazuzu is a real demon.
So like The Exorcist, Hereditary has a demon that follows this particular family.
Yes.
So, and that's kind of in like a biblical thing too, because like in the Bible, it's like, demons can attack to a particular family and like they'll stick with it for generation after generation after generation.
Yeah.
So it is something that's inherited.
Yeah.
So it might not be, you might not have anything to do with like, demonology or anything with the occult, but if you're, down the line, if your great whatever did, they might have brought that into your line and you're stuck with it.
I have a reason why that happens. Is because a lot of times when people make pacts with demons, they offer up their blood as sacrifice and sign with their blood.
Right.
You sign the contract with your blood. And so that contract is attuned to your blood type. And so if you have children and then their children, they have your blood in their veins. And so that's why if this thing is not resolved, if it doesn't get what it wants, it can continue. It's like a debtor. I mean, they're like the ultimate bureaucracy people, like banking, like they're going to they charge interest too,
Does this have something to do with the title of the movie?
Well, it does, because I mean, the other thing about it is like dolls and are kind of common theme of Hereditary. So like the mother and the daughter, they both are like crafts. They like making crafts and they're both artists. So like the mother is like, it starts
making
out
these miniature dioramas.
Yeah, she makes dioramas.
Like
that's her
hyper realistic miniature dioramas of things happening in her life, scenes in her life.
Yeah, and she
that
becomes
sounds
more
creepy.
and more focused on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the daughter is kind of making little things that are kind of more found object.
Yeah.
So the mothers are like really controlled. Like they look like a dollhouse you can buy in a store.
And they look real.
But the daughters are like out of control. Like she's grabbing sticks and like brush and dead animals and like stitching them together and stuff. So they're both doing the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the daughter is more just like found object kind of chaos stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, some of this sounds great.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not saying it's bad. We haven't said it's bad.
No, there's amazing stuff about, that's what's so frustrating is because there's stuff I really like about this movie. There's a lot of stuff that I think is really great. I didn't feel like it was competent, like at the, like where it took me. I was like, oh, it doesn't really follow its own rules. Its logic doesn't make sense. Like it kind of fell apart a little bit.
Filmmaker wasn't in complete control of the boat.
Yeah, it just needed to be tighter. It needed like maybe another pass or two, It just needed to be tightened up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a really good movie in there.
But it made me think about it the next day and the next day, though.
Yeah, we're still talking. And we've talked about it for a couple of days.
Well, that's the sign of something that's got something to it.
So it's like, it's got some teeth to it. Like, I really enjoyed it. And there's stuff in there that, like, I haven't seen images and imagery like that. I mean, it was shocking. Like, it was bummer stuff. But, like, you were saying...
Major.
Come on, Peter. It's just soon.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman.
Like the big scene is
it's like it happens about a third of the way through the movie.
The big scene. Okay,
now, do we want to talk about that? Do we want to say? Do we have to talk about it to keep going, or should we just say?
Well,
I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
But we said spoilers on.
True.
We can just.
All right, really spoilers on right now.
Yeah, really spoilers on. Because this is like kind of I would rank this up there with like the moment in Psycho, just because this is something that just doesn't happen.
And this was, this was the most effective thing that the movie did.
And I think that's why we're even talking about the movie, because what comes after is pretty by the numbers.
Right. Like that was like, whoa. And then after that, it kind of falters and it never regains its.
Well, and it also took, I told you, I was like, when we got in the car after, I was like, that just took me so low that I could never recover to even enjoy the movie because it took me so low.
Right.
But anyway, you go ahead and.
Okay. So this is a nightmare scenario.
Someone's already spoiled it on the chat.
Yeah. So here's the nightmare scenario. So this brother is trying to go to this party where there's underage drinking at some house party, whatever. He's in high school. He's a stoner.
Okay.
There's some girl he likes. He wants to hang out with.
Okay.
He's trying to leave. He's like, "Can I borrow the car, Mom?" You know, and she's like, "Oh, where are you going?" It's like school thing, whatever. You know, she's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Take your sister," and forces him to take the sister with him to this party. They go to the party. The little girl's little. I mean, this is like a teen party. She's not a teenager. She's younger. She's, like I said, autistic on the spectrum, like not good with people. Like this is not an environment that is for her. She's a very sensitive person and cannot be in environments like this. And
Has she even been to a party before?
No, but he did lie to the mother. He told the mother he was going to a barbecue.
Yeah, it was a barbecue school thing.
So the mother didn't know what kind of a party it was.
Yeah,
Man.
she had no idea.
Well, this sounds like an interesting scenario right away. Okay.
Well, you know, it gets worse. And so he sees the girl that he likes. He's like, "I got some great weed." And she's like, "Let's go smoke it." And so the girl's trying to come with him. He's like, "No, you got to stay out here. Like, I'm going to go, you know, I got to smoke weed." Like, he doesn't want his little sister to see him smoking weed in front of a bunch of people. And he's also trying to mac on this girl. He can't do it in front of his weird sister. So he leaves her alone while he goes to smoke weed with these people. And he's like, "Oh, look at that cake. She loves chocolate. You always see her eating chocolate." So like, "Oh, look, they're giving out chocolate cake. You know, go get some chocolate cake and I'm going to go do this and I'll be back." And so she starts eating the chocolate cake and like she has a peanut allergy. And so you see her, she starts getting like
she's got allergies too.
Yeah, she starts like it starts happening. She eventually finds her brother and is like, "Hey, like I don't feel so good." He realizes what's going on. He immediately gets in the car. They're driving to the hospital. She can't breathe. She puts her head out the window to get air because she just cannot, like her throat is closing up. And there's a dead deer and he swerves out of the way and her head smacks a pole, knocks her head right off.
Wow, I got to see this. Okay,
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's so much,
and you're I can see from your face
because there was like really heartbreaking dialogue that led up with. She didn't even want to eat the cake. She was like, "Well, that's not for everybody." Like, she's so shy, and he was just like, "No, it is just like trying to ditch her."
Yeah,
you know, and like just not. No one's like looking out for her, and it was just it was incredibly sad.
Yeah,
and when it
see
happened,
why it made you feel that way. Then.
Well, no, when it happened, you know, I thought I was like shocked, but then I was like, well, wait, I want to see what everyone else is. So I looked around the theater. It was
I
like
do that a lot
time-stopped.
too. I do that
but
a
it
lot.
was like time stopped. Everyone was frozen. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
No one was moving.
Yeah.
Like they were like they'd been frozen.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
was.
It looked like.
I went.
Yeah. It was terrible.
And I was
the
just
thing
stuck
is, it's like
for a
it was
second.
just I don't know. I never recovered from that enough to enjoy the movie. It took me so low.
Yeah.
At what point does this happen in the movie?
Like maybe about midway, almost midway.
I think it was more like a third.
Yeah,
I think it was
well,
in the first
yeah,
third.
yeah, maybe a third. Yeah, you're right. First third.
This is a long
More of
movie.
yeah.
This is not a short movie. It was
Yeah, you're
2
right.
For a horror movie to be over 2 hours, that's a long horror movie, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it was in the first third.
I mean, just imagining, filming that and seeing that. I mean, that's something that you hear about in news stories that happens.
Well, I know and that's the thing is like, okay, they were really good at like that is a real fear that like that is a. I'm not gonna say they didn't play upon a real fear, but this wasn't an overall theme in the story. But this scene was partly so effective,
or a
because
real thing that happens. I mean, that happens to drunk people.
That's what I'm saying. Is like they actually in this scene they did play upon a real fear, and that's part of the reason why it's so effective. Is we've all heard the urban legend of the girl, or not urban legend, like actual people that.
News
I mean,
story.
it happens. Like people get their heads knocked off in motor accidents all the time, sticking their heads out windows. It happens. It's something that absolutely
I've heard of that
happens.
happening to someone with like that wire that goes from the telephone pole
Yeah.
up to the ground.
Although, I mean, what a way to go, though. I mean, at least to be quick, like. I don't know. There's worse ways to go.
It was very manipulative in the way that it was supposed to like be very upsetting, and it was kind of like the only thing is like wow. I mean, it's like I didn't think you could get like a psycho moment out of an audience, but it really seemed like it did. Because like I said, everybody was frozen. Like no one was moving.
But then again, if you lost most of the audience for the rest of the movie, then
I don't know that they did. I mean, the thing about me
might
is
just be you.
It could just be me because I'm really sensitive to stuff like that, and I used to teach like kids that age, and I was very like I had to stop doing it because I would get pulled into their problems, and I would feel so bad for them because I would relate to them so strongly. I mean, being like because like as a kid, we didn't have. I don't know about you, but I mean, like, we didn't, like, growing up, we were kind of the outsiders and stuff like that. So it's like, I really relate to kids like that.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was too much. Like I was too bummed out by it.
Yeah.
Well, how about this then? I mean, there are people that go and rent. Like when we were in high school, like our friends would go and rent like Faces of Death just to see something shocking, just to see how you're gonna feel when you see something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
We
I'm
all
sure
did. That's a
kids
rite of
still do
passage.
that.
I don't know. I'm sure that's still like a thing, like internet rite of passage.
Well, and the
of
thing
watching
is-
death videos for kids.
Absolutely, but the other thing is too is like we were kind of seeing as much film as we have. We were kind of like, oh, this is from this. This is
Yeah,
from
right.
this. This is from this. This is from this. Like they were kind of just pulling stuff from
Yeah.
all over, so that kind of made it less
And this
effective.
and that's what this is they go, oh, okay, this is cool, this will be cool, like everyone's had the head smack scene, well, we'll make the worst head smack scene of all time, and it'll be huge, you know. And it's like, and it was, and it works, but it's more of like a trick versus something that's in service of a greater story.
Yeah, I know. I totally know what you mean.
And it didn't make any sense either, because okay, that motherfucking pole had the Paimon symbol on it, and it's just like,
The Paimon symbol?
yeah, okay.
But I did read that Paimon knows the past, and he has knowledge of past and future events. So maybe he's passing that along to his followers. And they knew, like they kind of set it in motion. It's a lot to. It's
inferring a lot.
But the other thing is, like, this starts out with the dollhouse, like the family as a dollhouse.
Right, yeah.
So
it zooms
it
in
lets
and
you
then
know that like these people's lives are being positioned. They're being moved around a chessboard.
Yeah.
So they're kind of already telling you that maybe some stuff isn't going to make logical sense here.
Right.
Because these people are like dolls. You know, it's when you're playing dolls, you can put the doll wherever you want. It doesn't have to make sense. You kind of did make up the rules as you go.
Yeah.
So as much of a leap as that was, they kind of told you, like, because the opening shots track into a dollhouse.
Yeah.
And then the dollhouse kind of becomes...
Now you're making me feel frustrated for the movie, even.
Well, it is kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What?
Sometimes I swear I can feel them in the room.
I was going to say, this all reminds me of Ghost Ship. Remember that scene with the wire
That was the
on
best
Ghost
scene,
Ship?
but they blew their
But that was
load.
they did it in a fun way.
Yeah, that was one of the
not
best garage scenes of all time.
But I will say, you know, the thing is, it's like, it's a real horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not like, there's no cats that jump in as red herrings.
It's not jump scare city.
Yeah, there's not like somebody doing something and then a cat jumps into frame and the violins go...
Yeah, the
You know,
violins.
it's not that, like, you know what I mean? Like, where there's a stupid, like, jump scare every 5 minutes.
Sounds like they're
that's
going for
nothing.
disturbing on a certain level.
But they had some really good, like, spooky stuff where it's like, oh, you're looking in this
did.
dark room, but you kind of see this figure that's
And
like,
you may not see it.
And
because it's set up in such a way that, like, maybe you're not even looking there. Like, I bet there were some things that happened where I was like, I wonder if everybody even saw that.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of just there.
Was this a fast-paced movie? Because with all the things
No.
you're telling me...
No, it's slow. It's 2 hours long, and there's not...
And the first half, I think, it kind of plods a little bit. I feel like it could be maybe a little tighter.
And this is the thing. The last of the movie, it kind of devolves into a pretty standard Hollywood horror movie.
Yeah, it turns
I
into
feel
like
the
horror
ending
movie.
is pretty Hollywood.
Yeah, very Hollywood.
You know, so it's like that first third is, I feel like, why people are really talking about this movie.
Yeah.
Because if you take out that incident that we talked about with the telephone pole and
Right.
everything, you've got a pretty standard, like, possession movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing that really comes after that's that.
Yeah, it's just that scene really makes it stand
It's
out.
because they kill a kid.
Yeah, and they went there for it.
You're right.
and
Yeah. Okay. Kill a
But
kid.
if you take
You
that
have
out
to
of there,
you have to give something to get something. They sacrificed a child to get in a response for
You're
the
saying this
community.
movie has its own demon.
Yeah.
But see, the other thing is, like, you have to. It's not like, because Jaws kills a kid.
Yeah, but it's off
Does Jaws
It's off screen
kill
though.
a
I mean,
kid?
it's kind of.
I don't know. When
well-
Alex gets killed, they show that big blood geyser come out. They show you see the relationship he has with his mom.
Yeah.
You see the aftermath
Yeah.
of his mom so upset. I mean, so
Right.
Jaws kills a kid.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
But
I mean,
Jaws doesn't. It's
it's different.
well, if you're gonna kill a kid, that's something you have to consider. Like, who is your audience? Where's this movie gonna play?
It also
You're
doesn't-
cutting down your potential of what you're gonna do with the movie a lot.
well, Jaws doesn't spend 30 minutes making you feel bad for Alex before
Right,
he gets
right.
killed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't have an
building
emotional
your-
connection.
right.
'Cause Jaws isn't about Alex.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
other
It's
people
just an
get killed.
outlet.
that almost sounds irresponsible. I mean, but then you're saying it's disturbing. It sounds irresponsible.
Well, it's designed to.
Well,
make you
it's designed.
make you
Is the thing is
disturbed,
it's
you know?
designed, and it's the thing is like, okay, so this was designed, and you know you got me, But overall, the movie is not well designed. It's just like these series of small designs, that kind of work. Like the Exorcist 3 thing. So Exorcist 3, one of the famous things in Exorcist 3 is this little old lady crawling on the ceiling like a little bug, looking around, and nobody sees her, and she's this fucking demon. She's possessed by this fucking demon, crawling around on the fucking ceiling. It's scary as fucking shit. It's so good. It's just like such a weird effect, and so this does it. The mom gets like possessed at one point, and then she's off in the corner, and fucking just hanging out, and the boy doesn't see her behind him like that.
There's our thumbnail, by the way.
And then they do it, and then they do it again, though. It's like she flies out of the room when he doesn't see, when his back is turned.
Time.
His back, and then she floats up to the thing. She's floating all over. The mom starts floating all over the fucking place. Okay, like we go from like really grounded shit to like floating mom, like real fast.
Hollywood.
It goes Hollywood real fast.
Yeah.
And then
so it was like indie film to Hollywood movie.
Kind of, because it's sort of like I didn't really get why she was trying to like attack him like that. Yeah. Because they had the whatever.
Oh yeah, because she's trying to get on the attic too, and she's upside down on the attic door, beating the door.
Like they hadn't taken that tact before, and I mean they actually drive him like to where he like jumps out the window, and it's like
with another garroting scene,
right?
Like we're talking about garroting scenes. There's a really graphic garroting scene.
So there must be something with Paimon. I don't know if you read that, but all of them seemed like they had to be headless in order for some kind of thing to happen.
Well, So the grandma who dies in the beginning that you don't ever see or know, her body is desecrated. It's picked up, and the head is missing, or the head is, it's headless. Then there's also, I believe. The girl, I mean, she gets her head smacked off, so she's headless. Then the dad later, I believe his head was missing when the body was
I don't know that the dad, I think, was kind of inconsequential because he wasn't actually part of the family line. He wasn't part of the bloodline.
And he wasn't part of the female line.
Or the bloodline.
Yeah. Well, it's going through the female line because it comes from the mom to this mom to her children.
But he married into the family, so he's not related by blood anyway.
It doesn't.
So at the
but I
end,
think he was missing his head. I want to say he was.
I mean, but at the end when they had the bodies around that effigy, he wasn't there.
No, he wasn't.
So I don't think he was like not important.
Well, the stuff about the bloodlines following sounds really cool.
But then the mom, so she's like floating around, and she's finally, she's floating in the fucking room with him, and she's zzz, 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 and she's like like cutting her own head off, like with a garrote wire, and there's blood.
Whoa.
And then the son like loses it, and there's all these naked people in there in the room with him, and then he just jumps out the window, and then the light comes. There's this light that possesses you. That I guess that's Paimon, this demon king Paimon, and he gets in the body, and then the boy wakes up, and then you see the mom's body float, the headless body float up into this little tree house, and then he goes up there, and then the tacked on ending. Talk about this.
There's some exposition at the ending, like when they
had to be tacked.
Once he gets into, he goes up to where they're, where
bad screening. They put it on. Yeah.
Basically, the treehouse in the movie is where they're basically like their church.
Yeah.
Like it's like where they observe. It's like a demon or like a black church or whatever.
Okay.
So that's where the last scene is, and when the kid goes up there, at this point he's been possessed. They've shown you that, like, because they showed the light going into him, which by that time in the movie, if you don't know that light is Paimon, then you're just not following the story at all.
You don't know.
So anyway, he's possessed and he goes up into the treehouse.
Yeah.
And then it really feels like this was added.
I'm thinking of Simpsons Treehouse of Terror, like that treehouse.
No.
It kind of looks like Bart. Yeah.
Okay.
But
sorry.
He kind of just goes up there, and he's got kind of a look on his face like he's kind of not in the moment, or he's half in the moment.
He doesn't look like he's one way or another. He's very neutral look on his face.
And then he's crowned. Like one of the followers puts a crown on his head, which looks kind of like a Burger King crown.
Yeah, it does. But it was wasn't it on Charlie's head, which was on that effigy? Like they had this kind of like Mother Mary type of thing with the daughter's head with this like crown on it and this halo maybe, and then the two headless bodies of the grandmother and the mother were kneeling before her.
Yeah.
And then they take the crown off of that, I think, and then put it on his head.
Yeah, so while this happens, this exposition comes in from, we don't see the person speaking, which made us think that they were told to add that after, because people would be confused.
Because it's off-screen, completely off-screen talking.
Yeah. is just like basically just runs down the list of what just happened. Like, okay, so we've removed your body or your soul from this body, and now it's in this body, and we made sure that it was a healthy
young
male
boy, male body.
It just feels really tacked on, and it was kind of like, well, wouldn't he know that anyway? I mean, as a viewer, like I knew that. I mean, I just watched the movie, like I knew. And it says
that, like it says, like underlined in the book, highlighted. Yeah. He covets a male body. Like,
so she just kind of like bullet points all the information that as a viewer, if you're paying attention, you'd already have.
Yeah.
But
so they explained it to the teenagers in the audience. Is what it sounds like.
I guess, but to me, it kind of killed the ending.
Yeah, especially because he has this neutral look on his face where it's supposed to be like, is he not?
If that ending just had the chanting, and just them putting the crown on and the imagery, that's it. You
could have just.
But I felt like that lady coming in, which we're not even sure, was she even in the room?
I don't know.
I think they just used that voice because she was a character earlier in the movie. But I mean that exposition at the end, I felt kind of killed any impact that ending would have had.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, I don't know, it just was kind of, I didn't. It was kind of lackluster. I don't know. I didn't feel like satisfied by it.
You guys, this is such a mixed bag. You're telling me.
Well, it is. It's
but
such a mixed bag.
We've got some comments of people saying that this sounds really interesting. Now I have to see this.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth watching. I'm not saying it's
I wouldn't tell anyone not to watch it.
Yeah.
I would just say you're not going to feel good when it's over.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to be a fun.
Yeah.
So it's like if you had a bad day.
Right.
Don't watch Hereditary.
Yeah.
If you're feeling really sad.
Was there anything to take away, like, from this movie? And I mean,
that's the thing.
That's kind of the issue.
Like, the best, there isn't anything that you can take away from it. And that's what makes it shallow.
I would not like this movie then for that reason.
Well,
I feel like a story needs something to say, and this sounds like it just has something to try to disturb you with. And try to,
they're trying to be a scary movie. They're like, "Ooh, we're gonna make a horror movie."
Well, I want to point this out too. Like Spencer
That's irresponsible in my opinion.
Spencer Levine said that the woman at the end that's giving the exposition, because the woman refers to him as Charlie, which was something else that kind of confused us.
Right.
It was like, you know what?
Sister's name is Charlie.
So like that exposition actually is someone that left me with more questions.
Right. I was like, wait, what?
I had more questions after that exposition.
Why wouldn't you call him Paimon? Why are you calling him Charlie? And
it's like if Paimon is a demon that knows the past and the future, and you've already shown that because people that have been possessed by Paimon have been like illustrating things. And Paimon's been kind of moving through this family.
Yeah.
Why are you explaining to Paimon what you've been doing? Doesn't he know?
I don't believe that Paimon going into the dad or whatever that is, like, I don't see that. I didn't miss, maybe I missed that.
I don't even know if that happened.
But it's inferred because when he dies, then it goes into the mom, and then it's like, wait, so was it in him? And then why did he go up in flames? Yeah. Although that was really surprising when that happened.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I think that's the thing about modern horror movies is they throw everything in there but the kitchen sink, and all the details just don't add up.
I know, that's
and I don't even know.
You really got to think about it. Like, you really have to care and get into it.
I don't even know if as a viewer you're supposed to go in expecting for all the details to add up anymore. I don't know.
All I know is that this is no William Peter Blatty. This is no Exorcist Legion.
Where will this movie be in 20 years?
Nowhere. I don't think it'll. Really
I mean, I think that for younger audiences who aren't as familiar with these things, I think that, it'll have a home with, people being like, oh, this is a good, introductory into horror stuff. This is some fun stuff.
And then they'll grow up older and realize, oh, they were ripping off all this movies.
Yeah, this isn't really that awesome.
Yeah.
But it was, at the time,
Yeah.
It was, it had some really crazy stuff, some experience. I mean, you definitely it gives you an experience. It's definitely, you'll remember seeing this film.
Yeah.
It was memorable. So if you go to a horror movie to just have an experience and get the thrills and chills or feel bad or whatever, then you'll definitely. I mean,
there were some great creepy moments.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It kind of stitched together.
Definitely,
it really stitched together a lot of the movies that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything, Don't Look Now. If I think, what did this borrow the most from? It's Don't Look Now.
Also, guys, don't ever do a ritual that somebody just hands you.
Yeah, don't do stuff like that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's just generally good advice. Yeah.
Yeah. That was. I mean, the way they did it in the movie was really brilliant. But it's there was an element of the Rosemary's Baby betrayal where, someone who she thought was a trusted friend was really manipulating her and manipulates her into doing this ritual at her home, which helps this group's ends of trying to raise this demon and put it into a body so that they can reap the benefits of this demon's help.
Now I want to see it just for that scene, just to see how that sort of situation was portrayed.
Yeah, it was just heartbreaking. I mean, it was just like, and it made me feel bad too, not only for the daughter, it just like, or for Charlie, but I also just felt so bad for that son.
Yeah,
you know,
for
all
of them.
Like, I just felt so bad for him. And I also thought too, I was like, oh fuck, like the mother, like how is the mom gonna get along? Because it's like, if your son like accidentally is involved in an accident like that where your daughter dies, like some mothers would blame their son, you know, and like having to deal with them and see them and like having that air between them, like that's
she blamed
horrifying.
them both. I think she blamed herself and she blamed him, and she felt like what she said was, she was like, I'm taking on all of this.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that's blaming myself here. Why won't you blame yourself too?
Right.
Because when she attacked him like that, she was saying like, you're not taking any responsibility. I'm the only one that's taking responsibility. Right. But that wasn't exactly fair.
It wasn't,
because he was.
He came back though at her, which I thought was great, where he was like, well, she didn't even want to go to the party. And that's, I mean, true. And then that's when she walked out, because she could dish it out, but she couldn't take it, you know, where it's like, but it was just, again, the demon, you know, like feeding off of these energies and like causing them to get upset at one another. And then like that just feeds this atmosphere that it is enriching for a demon. You know?
I mean, it's like if it had just focused more on those things and stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, I think they just needed to really understand what the fuck goes on with demons. I don't think they did their demon homework. They didn't do their demon homework.
I feel like they did I feel like they did, but it just got so Hollywood at the end. I feel like if it could have stayed like just within that nuclear family.
Yeah.
And like how the grief affected them and kind of how the demon worked inside of all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know. Did we need the cult?
Well,
coming in from the peripheral? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
This is petty, but here's a real missed opportunity. Okay. So the Pyman sigil, and this is a real sigil.
Is this what you would have done in the movie?
Yeah. So in the end, we have this tableau where it's like the daughter's head on this like fake body with the two bodies of the moms with their heads cut off. And it was like, oh, it's supposed to be this terrible, you know, murder tableau, you know, of awfulness. But like, so Pyman's sigil, and this is an actual real sigil, because this is a real demon that they are referencing in this movie. It has like, it looks like four little dudes, like four heads, you know, like these little dudes hanging out. It kind of like his sigil looks like a cartoon of like four little people. And I was like, wait, so if the grandma's head is gone, if the daughter's head is gone, if the dad's head is gone, and if the mom's head is gone, instead of making that tableau that they made, why wouldn't the satanic cult people take the four heads, take all four severed four heads to like make a sigil, you know, like out of like a Pyman sigil out of their body parts and other weird shit, you know, and other ceremonial stuff. Like that would have been like way more effective, because you've been seeing this fucking sigil all fucking movie, you know, and then like to just go to some like weird Mother Mary Trinity thing like at the end, what they did like didn't really go with anything. You weren't set up for that at all.
It didn't quite add up.
It didn't quite add up. It was just like, oh wait, what is this? Like, okay, I guess so. But it's like, oh, it would have been way more effective if it was like they used the four heads and the Pyman sigil, and I'd be like, oh, that's so sick. But then they didn't do that.
Missed opportunity.
Missed
do you
opportunity.
feel like, you know, why the mom got like so violent at the end? Like why would, if he was supposed to be the vessel, why the sudden turn where now we're gonna like attack him? And,
well, okay, I think I could maybe explain it away in a way that would make sense for me, and I would accept it. So the mom obviously like didn't want to have. She admits to herself in a dream, or in his dream or something, but like she didn't want to have him, you know, so she has resentment towards him. But maybe she didn't want to have him because she knew that her mother was trying to do some fucked up shit. And so when this demon inhabits her, it feeds off her anger. It makes her really angry, but she's really angry about like having to do all this stuff. She didn't want to have this baby. She didn't want to deal with any of this stuff. Well, but she funnels that into like trying to kill him so that this can't happen though. Also, like she's still like, by killing him, she's protecting him.
So you think that when she was possessed, it was kind of like there was a part of her that was still alive that she was trying to kill him so that it couldn't happen?
I mean,
because
you could infer that, but I don't think that's what they're meaning in the script.
Well, but before she got possessed, she wanted to stop the curse because like she wanted to throw the book into the thing. She was saying like, I'm gonna burn.
Right.
So I want you to do this, and this is gonna save Peter. So she was trying to save her son.
But she also may or may not have been choking him in that bed thing too.
Yeah, but she said that was before he was born and stuff like that. Which a lot of women, that's not like an uncommon thing. She had doubts about whether she should have
not that part. Like later in the movie, you see like one of her miniatures where like it's the boy's bedroom and he doesn't have a head. And then when it's like the second time he has a dream like, or maybe it's a dream, maybe not, but like hands come up from behind,
which are
and
her
it's
hands,
like, and which are her
They were
hands,
yeah.
and she's grabbing him and trying to fucking bleh. And then it cuts away, but then it comes back, and then she's over here, and then she's like, oh, what's wrong? And he's like, what's wrong? You were trying to choke me, you know? And she's like, what are you talking about? I've been over here. But she could be an unreliable narrator. You don't know if,
or
like...
she didn't know.
Or she didn't know. Maybe she was...
So, like, that could have been part of her maternal instinct, like, this is going to happen, so I need to end it.
Yeah, maybe I need to kill him, like, end him, because it'd be better than
So you think maybe when she was
king.
possessed, maybe there was part of her maternal instinct that was...
Yeah.
You know,
because that's why there was that whole thing where she has she was a sleepwalker, and at one point years before, she wakes up and she's covered in paint thinner and he's covered in paint thinner, and she's got a lit match, getting ready to burn them both alive. And I feel like sleepwalking, that's subconscious. She subconsciously knows that, like, there's something going on with her mom and, like, with them. And maybe that's why she's, like, was trying to kill them. It's not because she's crazy and evil, but because she knows that if they don't die, they're going to, you know, this curse is going to go live through them and, like, eventually manifest itself. So maybe it'd be an easier way out to burn each other alive than to go through what they went through. Which was also like a kinder fate in a lot of ways with what they ended up having to deal with.
I feel like you guys have explained 5 movies by now. With all the stuff you told me.
It kind of was 5 movies
I know it was 5 movies put together, though. It was. Yeah. It's, I don't know. It doesn't make sense, really. That's the thing. It's like we're trying to make sense of a movie that's kind of flawed and it doesn't really know what it's doing.
Is that what you're doing right now? You're trying to like put it back together somehow.
I'm trying to make it work for me so I can like it better.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, oh,
because there were good parts and they didn't.
It's not there. It's just not there.
Didn't get it together. Okay.
Oh, Beans. It's just
I know
not
how
there,
that feels.
Beans.
But it's still better than. I mean, I would say it's still better than.
Most modern horror movies.
Nearly all modern horror. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an actual horror movie. It's a horror movie.
It is a horror
for
movie.
Sure.
And it's not Annabelle creation, okay?
No,
so it made me think about it. Maybe look into Paimon. Made me, you know.
And it made you decide to do Mystic
demons.
Monday Demons instead of Ghosts and spring that
so
on
I
us in the
mean,
last
you know,
movie.
there's a lot of positivity that's come from
there totally is.
this movie.
I'm not saying you shouldn't go
And
see
also,
it or enjoy it or.
Also, the reason that I will always have a little bit of heart for this movie is because I got to take Josh to my favorite theater for the first time.
Oh, the ArcLight.
Yeah, we got the full ArcLight experience. He was very impressed. I was like, good, he's impressed. Because sometimes you take people there and they're like, whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? This place is awesome. Like, what's your problem? You know, like my sister, like whenever I try to like impress her.
Your sister?
Yeah, she's never impressed by anything. And I'm just like, what the fuck? This is awesome. She's like, whatever. You know, I'm just like, but you were like, oh wow, look at this bar. Like you can buy drinks here at the thing.
Your
like,
goal in life is to impress your sister, isn't it?
Your goal, like, yeah, she's a bitch. She's like,
yeah.
But she's completely unaffected. Like that's just how she moves through life. Like that's just
you
her.
have the world's little sister.
Yeah, but I'm also like way too much. Like I'm like so extra, and she's so like understated. You know.
Oh, there's a good question.
You guys are
Let's take
extremes.
this question. It's a good question.
Sure.
Bobby Vegas 68 wants to know a fight between Pazuzu versus Paimon. Who would win?
Oh man, I feel like Pazuzu.
I feel like Pazuzu would win. From
like
what I know about
Pazuzu.
demonology, I think Pazuzu would win. I think he has more because there is a hierarchy.
Yeah, there is a hierarchy.
And I think Pazuzu is way outranks Paimon.
Let's see what Pazuzu's rank is. Pazuzu. All right, here we go. Wikipedia.
Pazuzu, battle meter.
Yeah, battle meter.
Okay.
He was the king of the demons of the wind, son of the god Hanbi. He also represents the southwestern wind, bearer of storms and drought. Let's see here. He brought famine. Man, that's legit.
Right.
He was believed to cause harm to mother and child during childbirth. He's considered to be an evil spirit. He drives away, frightens other. But he's so evil that he frightens other evil spirits. So he can also be a protecting force.
Yikes.
Yeah. But, you know, again, it's like you're redirecting it in a positive way. But, like, okay, Pazuzu demonology.
Yeah, so we're not saying we didn't like Hereditary.
Yeah, no.
No, we're not saying Hereditary is a bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom? I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Peter! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Mom?
Well, I think what we talked about it seems like
Lesser key, yeah.
the best horror movies and the best horror stories offer some kind of insight.
Yes, into the human
maybe
condition.
Just feel like Hereditary didn't offer enough, is that maybe what your problem was with it?
Yeah, it wasn't satisfactory. It didn't like at the end of Legion, you're left with this like great realization, and this man finds peace, and this existential problem is solved. And there's some sort of uplift at the end of it. There's something to learn. There's something to glean from it. Whereas, this didn't have anything
Well, and that goes back to Blatty. He was always trying to take the reader higher.
Yeah, right. Because he's trying to raise the vibrations of the audience.
Yeah, he's not trying to take you down. It's like you do go pretty low.
Yeah.
But he's trying to raise you up by the end of the story.
Yeah, he takes you a journey through the underworld.
So he's in kind of like a league all of his own.
Yeah, he was just like a really brilliant dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I read some of his interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was into some out there shit.
We need to do a whole thing on just The Exorcist because we didn't even get into that.
I know. He's into some. I need to reread The Exorcist. I read Legion again not too long ago, a few years ago, but I need to read The Exorcist again. But yeah, that guy was into some real shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I want to give a shout out to some of our patrons. Will Bamber says, "Can I just say how excited I am for Mystic Mondays?
You sure can, Will.
I love your taste in art and movies, but your interest in the weirder shit and the earnestness you talk about occult stuff in videos and discussions is what got me patronizing you."
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for being a patron.
Patroning you.
No, I mean, that's fine. That's, I understand the meaning.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.